Hey, good morning everybody. Welcome back to One Seed, One World. It is a humid Sunday morning out here and I am trying to get caught up with some garden stuff, working on other projects. I have not kept up with all of the pruning and harvesting and everything. So today I'm going to try to do that. I've got a lot of different things that are ready or need some help. Here I've got some sweet onions. These are the Globo variety, and I don't think they're quite ready to harvest yet, but just about. When you're getting ready to pull your onions, the things that you want to look for is the tops will start to turn brown and they will flop over, and your necks will get a little soft, and so that's kind of what you're looking for. And then once you pull them, you can then cure them so that they will last longer. This variety is a sweet variety, and so they don't store as long, probably 2 or 3 months if they cure properly, whereas your more pungent onions will store for up to a year if you have them in good conditions for storage after they've been cured. But like this one is actually probably ready to be pulled. A couple of them are getting close. I might even just take this one out today, and maybe this one too, that we can use right away, and then the other ones I'll let go a little bit longer for storage. So let's take a look at this one here. Yep, that one looks great. Big old onion. So that'll be good. See about this one here. Yeah, these will keep us going for a little bit, right? Back in here I got a bunch of beets that should have been pulled a long time ago. I pulled my first batch a long time, like probably over a month ago, and pickled all those. These I kept meaning to get to and did not. So I'm hoping that they are still in decent shape. They are definitely huge. They do have some bug damage. I see a little bit in here. You can see that but I think that'll be okay. It's just on the edge. There's different there's one type of bug, and I forget what it is, a pest that likes to get into beets and eat through them. And I've run into that before, especially with this variety. It didn't seem to affect my dark red varieties, but this is that choggia or choggia, I don't know how you pronounce it, beet that have the red and white stripes. Oh, it looks like I also have an ant's nest in the middle of these. Maybe they're the ones doing some damage too. But these beets get really huge when you let them go. And look at that, look how huge they are. I had one last year that was almost 6 inches across. But they're really pretty beets when you cut them open. They have the red and white stripes. And if I get a smaller one, I don't want to cut these yet, but if I get a small one, I'll cut it open and show it to you. Isn't that pretty? So think about the ones that are like really huge. They're really cool looking with great big red and white stripes. But I want to get this bed cleared out. I've got some carrots that have all gone to seed I'm going to get rid of. And even though we're coming into the second week in July, I'm going to plant some bush beans in here, green beans and some tongues of fire beans, to hopefully get a harvest maybe in September before the you know, the frost comes and kills them off. It's a little late to be getting beans in, but there's, you know, a lot of these varieties, they're ready for picking anywhere from 45 to 60 days. And so that should keep me beyond, or, you know, keep me safe for frost, because we don't normally get our first frost until early October or sometimes even later. So I wouldn't get as much if I had planted them early, you know, in the season. But, you know, to fill this bed space, get some other things going and still getting one, I think that will be okay. And then we'll just pick them until frost takes them. One thing that's been doing pretty well for me this year is my peppers. And I'm growing these Loot Shower, I think is the way you pronounce it, Paprika peppers. They start off green, and then you wait till they get mature enough to turn red, like that. And then you can pick them and dry them and make your own paprika powder. I'd also want to try the smoked paprika powder, but generally the store-bought stuff that you get, normally I think they smoke it for 10 days to 2 weeks. And I don't have a smoker or really the ability to do it that way. So I might maybe try grilling them first just to get some smoky flavor and then dry them. I'm not sure, I gotta do a little bit more research on that. But there's a lot of different varieties of paprika pepper. I think these are like from Czechoslovakia or someplace, I'm not sure. But somewhere over in that region, I think, is where they originated from, an heirloom variety. And I've got tons of green ones in here. But I got a few red that when I get on, at least get those dried and started. You know, because they don't all ripen for you at once. You kind of have to do them in small batches. But we got a few in here, and I see some more back in there that I think I can get to. And here next to me is lettuce now that is, you know, bolted. And this area here, originally I'd put a bunch of lettuce seed down, just mixed, and none of it really came up. I think maybe one plant. So I went ahead and put a zucchini plant in there. And right after the zucchini sprouted, all this butter crunch like popped up and took over. So we've been getting butter crunch for our sandwiches and stuff. But now it's kind of bolted and it's completely shaded out. Here's one leaf of the zucchini sticking out. So I'm gonna clear some of this stuff back so that the zucchini can grow now, because it's too hot for the lettuce at this point. I think this is probably kind of bitter. I'm gonna chop some of it up and see if the chickens will eat some of it. But I do actually have one zucchini hiding down in there. I'm amazed that you'd even got one out with proper pollination, but you know, a bee or something got in there and found a few of the flowers and at least got me one zucchini so far. Maybe it'll take off better once I get this lettuce out of here. So speaking of peppers, well, and eggplant, but I've got quite a basket full here of some very pretty produce. I got poblanos, a few green bell peppers, a lot of the banana peppers. So it looks like I'm gonna have to do some pickling today. And I haven't got to the shishitos and jalapenos yet. So peppers have definitely taken off. And the bugs are bad out here today. Let's go take a look at the back garden. So in here I've got, all my tomatoes are back here, more scarlet runner beans and then long beans over the hoops in the back. But I have not kept up with this back garden very well. It's sadly unpruned and overgrown. So I've got to get in here and get some stuff done. I've got a lot of big green tomatoes in here. The Cherokee Purple, Dr. Weechee Yellow, the Beefsteak. But because I haven't pruned it, a lot of it's fallen over. I got to get it up on the trellises. And also I've got, you know, some, I don't think it's blight, but maybe a little bit of fungus in here because since it got overgrown, it's not getting good airflow. And we've had multiple rainstorms over the past couple weeks, and so that moisture is getting held in there. I'm going to trim off all this yellow stuff that's down underneath, but overall the plants are still looking really healthy, and hopefully I'll get some ripe tomatoes soon. But with the way our heat's been, that tends to slow down the ripening of your tomatoes when you get up over 90 degrees, and we've been even like 95 and, you know, humid, just yuck weather. But the other thing too is that I kind of planted a lot of things kind of packed in here. I've got peppers back in here too, and several basil plants. And in some cases, the tomatoes have kind of grown and fallen over, you know, like my peppers and stuff and the basil, and covering it up. So I've got to get in here, get them fixed, and then prune back my basil, check and see how my pepper plants are going. So, got still quite a bit of work to do. You ever find those times where you get really behind the garden and it all seems so overwhelming and you're not really sure where to start? I'm kind of in one of those moments right now. And it's supposed to rain, I think, most of this afternoon. And I've still have to mow the lawn and check the bees. So I got a lot of stuff to do, and I don't think it's all gonna get done. Look at this mess in here. So going up this trellis is Tramontino squash in there. Actually, it looks like I got one in there I can pick right now. I had them started on both sides. The other one I haven't gotten to train up yet. And one of the plants died off because it got covered up by the sunflower that's growing there and some dill that, you know, reseeds itself every year. I had leftover sage still growing in there, and so it choked out one of the plants. But the other problem I'm running into is, let me get over here. The other issue over here is this. This is not the Tramontino. This is a Jack B. Little pumpkin, which I grew those last year. This one reseeded itself, and I was like, oh, I'll just kind of leave it there and see what it does. Well, it's taken off. There's tons of like little Jack B. Little pumpkins in there, but the vines have taken over my cucamelon area. And so now I got to figure out if I can pry all that out of there, because it's just one big giant mess, and I don't want them to ruin my cucamelons. I should have done this weeks ago, but I didn't get to it. So now I have to deal with the aftermath. Look at those buggers. Those are baby spotted lanternfly, which is an invasive species. If you saw my video on that, that I did last year, I think. And they last year really started moving into our county, and they can do a lot of damage to your grapevines and orchards and other stuff. But we have them all in here, and trying to keep up with them is near impossible because there's just so many of them. Back over here, I've got my little flax bed. Now, for those of you that have grown flax before, this might be kind of laughable because this is not gonna get me much of anything for thread. And I still have my dried stuff left over from last year that I haven't processed into thread yet. But so I figured I'd do another little batch. And this actually has done way better than the big patch I did last year. This was easier to take care of. I mulched it, and no weeds, whereas the ones last year got choked out by weeds. So these are coming up to a nice little height. They've most of the blue flowers are gone now. There's still a few left, but a lot of them are, you know, I'm getting the seed heads on, and so this is almost ready to harvest. And so then I can get some flaxseed and then the stalks for thread, hopefully when we get to all that processing point. And then over here behind me is our elderberry, 2 bushes. It actually looks like one giant mass right now. It's pretty huge. Let me show you, get it better on camera here. But look, I'm 6 feet tall, and you see, I mean, it goes way back up over there. It's getting berries on it now, and still more flower heads. I never got around to pruning it last year, so this is what happens when you don't prune back your elderberry. So I'm definitely gonna have to prune it this next spring, or February, I think is when I normally do it. But last year I'd trimmed this down to about 5 feet, and then I didn't do anything with it this year. And so even by the end of last summer, even after trimming it down to about 5 feet tall, we still had stalks that were like 12 feet tall by the end of the season. And then with not cutting it this year, not only did some of them get taller, I mean, some of them are like probably up to 20 feet high, the ones way up there in the back that haven't bent over yet. And not only that, a lot of it has spread out. I did cut some of it back on the underneath, but I didn't get to the back part of it. So it's just gone crazy. And so this is another project. Once we harvest this year, I will trim and prune this all back again, because otherwise we're just gonna have an elderberry forest back here. Got this little side garden back over here with cucumbers, which have not done a whole lot. The plants look pretty healthy, but I think it's because we've had so much hot weather. We've gotten a few cucumbers, but nothing major. It's like, I got this little guy here that I can add to the pickings today. And over here on the other side was just some random plants that, oh, another cucumber. Yay. But over here were some random plants that I had left over, so I kind of just stuck them over here to see what they would do. Some zinnia, celosia, random banana peppers. Originally I had planted a bunch of just zinnia seeds in here, and they didn't come up. But now I see a bunch of them are sprouting now, all coming up through here. So that maybe towards the end of the summer, they'll kind of fill in some of these other gaps in here. But this was just kind of like a leftover space. I do cucumbers over here each year, but not a whole lot with this area because it actually doesn't get a ton of sun because of the pine trees over here behind me. So I just figured, well, leftover plants that would get wasted anyway, might as well just stick them in here and see what happens. And so far, they're actually doing well. So hopefully that keeps up. And I see I got some banana peppers over here I need to pick. So that was a little Sunday morning garden tour. I know it was longer than what I normally do for videos these days, but hopefully you came along with me and checked out the garden with me. And I still have a lot more stuff to do. There's other random stuff in here that I didn't show you, but nothing overly exciting. Some, you know, cabbages and oregano and stuff like that. But so far things are going well. Things are a little slow. You know, we had a weird June, so it was like cold at the end of June and then really hot at the beginning. And then we've had, you know, several different days where we've been kind of inundated with the wildfire smoke that has come all the way down from Quebec, which is quite a ways from here, but it, you know, followed the jet stream, and some of the, or maybe it's not the jet stream, the prevailing winds, but brought a lot of that smoke down here. And we had days where it was like code red, code orange air quality. The mountain that we can see from our yard, that's only like 1.5 miles away, completely disappeared in the smoke. It was really bad there for a couple days, so I don't know how that's affected some of the things with the garden either, but overall, pest pressure has not been too bad, other than those stupid spotted lanternflies. But and now we're getting rain, got through our drought period, now we're getting rain, so you know, all seems to be moving along for the garden. But whatever's going on in your neck of the woods, I hope that it's coming together fantastic for you for this growing season, that you're getting a lot of good produce, and that you're able to keep up with all the processing of the produce once you get it. That's one thing that I struggle with from year to year. But I hope that you are having a great day, and thanks for hanging out with me again today. We will see you again soon. Namaste.